This module, actually the elongation of the previous module when we are talking about the radial flow impellers. So as I have already told you that the radial impellers are mostly used when we have to create high shear effect. You can see in this slide and diagram that when there is a radial flow, and this is, you say, Rushton turbine impellers, this is, you can say that the blade. So when there is a air cells, either the bubbles, so when these cells collide with this impeller, then they rupture. So in case when there is a radial flow impellers, then the burst of the cells happen. But on case of when it collide with the air bubbles, that having the reduction of the air bubble size, that is the positive point in radial impellers. But sometimes when we need the shear effect toward the cells, but sometimes it goes negative. When we talk about that there is a continuous shear to the cells, there is no, because there is no mass culturing. And all the time when there is a disruption of the cells, then there is the increase of the toxicity inside the fermenter. So that's why sometimes that is very negative impact of the choice of radial impellers. So that's why we see that as concern of the high shear that is effective in breaking up the bubbles. For this reason, the radial flow impellers are used for the culture of highly aerobic fermentation process. Because when there is a need of the highly aerobic process, mean the metabolic requirement of the organism need high oxygen, high concentration of the oxygen. That can only be supplied when there is a more solubility of the oxygen inside the fermentation medium or among the medium of that. Because when we have to supply the air into the medium, so the gaseous phase first have to into the liquid phase. So first the gas, oxygen has to dissolve into the medium. So the number of factors affect on the solubility of the medium. We will talk about this particular mechanism of solubility while we were talking about the chapter of aeration and agitation and the requirement of the oxygen. So how much amount of the oxygen is required, that as we know that the metabolic equation that 1 mole of glucose requires 6 mole of oxygen to have a complete respiration. So as when we use the simple the common air, and we know that if the air is having a good quality, that mostly have 21% of the oxygen in the air. So when we supply the air, that air bubble size, as much as the size of the bubble will reduce, then there will be a more surface area. When there will be a more surface area, then there is a more chance of oxygen solubility in the medium. So this is a very positive. That's why the positive factor by selecting the radial flow impellers. But on the other hand, I have already told you that high shear can also damage the shear sensitive material such as the crystals and the precipitate and shear sensitive cells such as filamentous fungi and animal cells. So very critical by using the radial impellers. When we talk about the radial impellers, so that is effect that how you design and what is the shape of the blade of the fermenter.